On a single day in January 2025, $1 trillion evaporated from the American stock market. NVIDIA alone lost around $600 billion in value, the biggest one-day loss for any company in history. The cause wasn't a war or a crash. It was a free app from a little-known Chinese lab that almost no one had heard of the week before. Its name was DeepSeek, and it had just proved something Silicon Valley hoped wasn't true, that you could build a world-class AI for a tiny fraction of the cost. Let's understand what happened. So who are they? DeepSeek is a Chinese AI lab, based in Hangzhou, founded only in 2023. Its origin is unusual. It was spun out of a quantitative hedge fund, a firm that used AI to trade the markets, and had quietly stockpiled a lot of computing power and machine learning talent. It's a relatively small team of young researchers, not a tech giant. And from the start, it made a striking choice to release its models openly, weights free for anyone to download under a permissive license. A serious frontier model given away. That alone was a challenge to the whole industry. Now, why the panic? Two things. First, DeepSeek's models performed at, or near, the level of the best American models on reasoning, math, and coding, the hard stuff. Second, and this is the earthquake, they reportedly did it for a tiny fraction of the cost. While U.S. labs were spending billions on training runs, DeepSeek claimed to have trained a frontier-class model for only a few $1,000,000. And it was far cheaper to run, too. If that was true, then the enormous sums and mountains of chips that justified those trillion-dollar valuations might not be so necessary after all. That's what spooked the market. How did a small lab pull this off? Not with brute force, but with cleverness, born partly of necessity, since export controls limited its access to the most powerful chips. They leaned hard on mixture of experts, that trick of only switching on the small part of a giant model you actually need for each question. They invented a leaner way of handling the model's memory, so it could do more with less. And for reasoning, they used a striking approach. They let the model teach itself to think, rewarding it for reaching correct answers, and letting it discover the how on its own. Constraints forced invention, and the invention was world-class. The model that truly lit the fuse was called R1, a reasoning model. Like the best closed reasoning models, it would think out loud, working through a problem step by step before answering, but it was open, the first freely downloadable model to genuinely rival the top-tier reasoners. And it wasn't just a research curiosity. The DeepSeek app shot to #1 on the U.S. App Store, above ChatGPT, meaning ordinary Americans were suddenly using a Chinese AI on their phones. The symbolism of that was not lost on anyone in Washington or in Silicon Valley. So why does DeepSeek matter to you? If you're a builder, it put frontier-class reasoning into open, downloadable form that you can run and adapt yourself at a fraction of the cost, a genuine gift. More broadly, it reset expectations. It showed the world that cutting-edge AI isn't the exclusive property of a few American companies with the deepest pockets, and that China is right at the frontier. One caution, using DeepSeek's own hosted app sends your data to servers in China, so for sensitive use, you'd run the open weights yourself. But the message was unmistakable. The game had changed. So DeepSeek was the shock heard around the world, proof that a small, open, efficient lab could rattle the giants and reset the economics of AI. But here's what should really get your attention. DeepSeek isn't alone. It's the most famous face of a whole wave of Chinese open models climbing the global leaderboards. Next time, we meet two more, Moonshot's Kimi and Alibaba's Qwen, the most downloaded open model family on Earth. See you there.